I'm Raghavi and welcome to the Above the Fold show. Tonight we focus on escalating political turmoil within the Trinamool Congress in West Bengal, the latest developments surrounding US President Donald Trump and the Iran conflict, and fresh updates on the Delhi hotel fire tragedy that has left at least 21 people dead. So stay with us for the full report. The political crisis within the Trinamool Congress continues to deepen, with fresh developments adding to the uncertainty surrounding the party's future. A fresh police complaint has been filed against party chief Mamata Banerjee over her recent remarks targeting constitutional institutions and linking the union government to a political killing in Bangladesh. The complaint comes at a time when the party is grappling with a growing internal revolt. A day after 58 Trinamool MLAs backed expelled leader Ridhabrata Banerjee as leader of the opposition, Mamata Banerjee's loyalists have rallied behind her, insisting that she remains the undisputed leader of the party and rejecting the rebel camp's claims. The turmoil also unfolds against the backdrop of the ongoing CID probe into the alleged signature forgery controversy linked to the nomination of the opposition leader. Now, to help us understand where the party stands now, we are joined by our Chief of Bureau West Bengal, Shiv Sahay Singh.
Now, with 58 Trinamool MLAs backing the rebel camp, even as Mamata Banerjee's loyalists insist that she remains the party's undisputed leader, are we looking at a temporary phase of post-election unrest or the beginning of a formal split within the Trinamool Congress?
58 MLAs are more than two-thirds of the total 80 MLAs who won this assembly elections. Today only one day after this new LOP was elected, even from the rebel MLAs, a few of them are saying that, we want Mamata Banerjee as our leader. So clearly, uh, how does this rebellion shape up? Whether it will be clear when the assembly session begins in the third week of this month, because nobody is ruling out that Mamata Banerjee is their leader. So some people are saying that they want her as the advisor. The other says that she remains our party, party chairperson. She remains our leader. There is a rebellion. Mamata Banerjee is silent on it. More anger is directed towards Abhishek Banerjee than towards Mamata Banerjee, and it will take some time as to see whether these 58 remain 58 or the numbers come down. What happens?
Why do you think Mamata Banerjee has stayed silent, at least for now?
Mamta is trying to test the water as how strong this rebellion is, and whether these 58 MLAs can actually challenge her authority. She founded the party in 1998. She was MP for, I think, 7 times, chief minister for 15 years, under a very new leader. So she's just waiting and she's just testing the water. So that is why she's silent.
So, what do these developments tell us about Mamata Banerjee's grip over the party and where the balance of power actually lies within the organization today?
This rebellion, there was a letter, and the letter was written, it came on the letterhead of Abhishek Banerjee, and there is an investigation that's to some signatures have been forced. So this rebellion is more or less focused on that aspect, not only about these MLAs, but you see none of the MPs. She has about 29 MPs. So none of these MPs are, one or two, I think, have come out against her, but most of the MPs remain with her. So I think she still holds a grip over the party. And even, her detractors, like there was this party called Kabir, came up with this Aam Janta Unnayan party. So he's criticizing Mamta, but he's saying that he won from 2 seats and he's willing to uh, let Mamta contest from 1 seat and go to this assembly if she wants to. So it is very early. There is a rebellion, and we'll have to see if all these 58 who are like a bulk of these MLAs who won, they able to hold together under a new LOP, or some of them go back to Mamta. Today there was a very interesting tweet by Swapan Das Gupta, who is an MLA, now a minister also, cabinet minister. He said that we should be very cautious about people joining from this Trinamool rebel Trinamool camp and from the Trinamool. if you rebel from Trinamool and you get a leader of opposition, but the BJP is trying to keep a distance from you. So things are in a state of flux. In another week or so, it will be clear. And Mamata is waiting. She's not even reacted anything on these developments. She's uh, uh, putting social media. Posting on social media about things happening in Delhi and NEET examination. So it's a waiting game now. Let us see how it develops.
The US House of Representatives has voted to stop the US war on Iran, marking a major blow to President Trump, who is caught in the midst of crumbling ceasefire talks and an increasingly frustrated electorate. Here's what happened.
It's been a week of self-defense airstrikes, angry phone calls,
I wouldn't say angry. I was a little bit perturbed.
and disarray over the state of peace talks. Now, US President Donald Trump faces another challenge, convincing legislators and his voters that his war in Iran makes sense. On Wednesday, the House of Representatives voted in favor of stopping Trump's war on Iran. Democrats invoked the War Powers Act, a law that essentially restrains the president's power to commit the US to an armed conflict if Congress has not consented to it. It's an argument that Democrats have been using since the beginning of the conflict to delegitimize the war. While previous attempts failed, this one passed.
The concurrent resolution is adopted.
The Democrats, who are the minority in the House, gained the support of 4 Republicans: Tom Barrett of Michigan, Warren Davidson of Ohio, and Thomas Massie of Kentucky broke party lines 2 weeks ago when the last vote was held. On Wednesday, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania joined them, bringing the total votes in favor of the resolution to 215. The resolution now moves to the Senate. The vote comes amid growing dissatisfaction over the war and Trump's approval ratings dipping, with the latest YouGov polls showing that only 35% of Americans approve of Trump's performance. It's a cause of worry for the president, as November's midterm elections approach. The House vote comes a week after back and forth between the US, Iran, and Israel. Earlier this week, Iran told the US that it would not engage in ceasefire talks after Israel advanced its raid into Lebanon. Israel has since paused its offensive in Lebanon, but on Wednesday, Iranian strikes on Kuwait's international airport killed 1 person, an Indian national, and injured over 60 people. Kuwait's defense ministry spokesman called the attack, quote, criminal Iranian aggression, unquote, and the foreign ministry said diplomatic missions had been damaged. Iran and the US both pointed at each other and then denied responsibility. For Trump, the House vote does little to shake him right now. The resolution would have to pass in the Senate for Trump to have to take action and end the conflict. Still, experts say the vote and the deflections show weakened support, even if marginal, and weakened leverage for Trump on the negotiation table with Iran.
Now an update on the Delhi hotel fire tragedy. A day after a devastating blaze at a hotel in Malviya Nagar killed at least 21 people and left dozens injured, Delhi police on Thursday arrested the property owner Lavkesh Bajaj. A lookout circular had earlier been issued against Bajaj and his wife as authorities launched a search operation. Investigators now allege that the establishment was operating far beyond its permitted capacity. While it had approval for only 6 rooms under Delhi's bed and breakfast policy, police say nearly 25 rooms, including some in the basement, were being run from the premises. An FIR has been registered under charges including culpable homicide. On Thursday, police, crime branch officials, and forensic experts continued examining the fire-ravaged building, reconstructing the sequence of events, and questioning hotel staff, local residents, and witnesses. The tragedy has also underscored the human cost of the disaster. Among those killed were 8 members of an extended Agarwal family who had checked into the guest house to stay close to a relative undergoing a treatment at a nearby hospital. Let's now turn to the Hindu Roundup for some of our exclusive content. Today's editorial, titled Base and Framework on the latest index of industrial production, argues that the index's numbers, upon closer inspection, show that India's industrial health resilience is not as broad-based as it may seem. The IIP is a key barometer of India's industrial health. The latest report is the first under India's updated macroeconomic framework and the second full month since Iran war. Overall, India's industrial fundamentals remained relatively resilient, growing at 4.9% year-on-year in April, despite global disruptions caused by the West Asia crisis. But the growth wasn't uniform. For example, capital goods output expanded by 16% year-on-year, but consumer durables output grew only 4.3%. Consumer non-durables expanded by just 2.8%. But the editorial also says that beyond the headline growth numbers, the overhaul of the IIP itself is something to take note of. The revised framework adds new products and drops those that have become irrelevant. For example, water has been introduced as a fourth major sector. It includes water supply, sewerage, and waste management. Manufacturing remains the dominant component of the index. Mining and quarrying, however, saw a notable reduction. The editorial argues that these shifts show the importance of value-added infrastructure and utility services in gauging how industrial activity has expanded while the relative significance of primary resources extraction has reduced. It says that these changes better capture India's emergence as a components and value-added manufacturing hub that's integrated into global supply chains. It also shows that the government is showing its intention to move towards a chain-linked framework with more frequent updates to sector-wise way headed. This would allow data to keep up with the structural changes in the economy and make the IIP a more accurate measure of industrial health. Tap the card above to watch the editorial on the Hindu Originals YouTube channel. In the latest episode of Focus Tamil Nadu, Deputy Resident Editor D. Suresh Kumar examines the political journey of K. Annamalai and the implications of his decision to part ways with the BJP. As Tamil Nadu's political landscape undergoes significant shifts, he explores whether Annamalai can emerge as an independent political force with a nationalist agenda in a state traditionally shaped by Dravidian politics. The episode also looks at his rise in public life, the reasons behind his break with the BJP, and what his next move could mean for the future of Tamil Nadu politics. Here's a snippet.
BJP and AIDMK reunited last year. Annamalai was replaced as state president, and suddenly the man who had dominated Tamil Nadu's BJP narrative found himself without a meaningful role in the organization. Vijay's TVK had already stormed into Tamil Nadu politics. Millions of young voters rallied behind a new alternative, and interestingly, a section of those young voters had previously admired Annamalai. In the run-up to the assembly polls, he had conveyed to the party leadership that the BJP was shortchanged by the AIDMK during the seat distribution. Eventually, the BJP was defeated in all but one seat, and its vote share dramatically fell below 3%. This is exactly where Annamalai's current calculations become fascinating. He appears to believe there is still room for another political force in Tamil Nadu. Not a Dravidian party, not a BJP clone, but a regional party with a nationalist outlook. Annamalai is attempting to build something that sits between the BJP and the Dravidian ecosystem. But strong political movements also require booth committees, local leaders, district-wide networks, volunteers, and most biggest factor of all, sustained funding. Now, without that foundation, even the most ambitious political project can collapse. It is against this backdrop that Annamalai is exploring launching a movement before converting it into a political party some months down the line. Whether Annamalai succeeds in creating a new political constituency or ends up splitting an already fragmented opposition vote remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, in a state where politics has suddenly become unpredictable, Annamalai is not ready to be a mere spectator. He wants to be one of the authors of Tamil Nadu's next political chapter.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with acting Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez in New Delhi today. The talks focused on boosting bilateral ties in energy, trade, and investment. Energy cooperation was a particular area of focus as Delhi looks to diversify its crude oil procurement amid the West Asia crisis. India was once a major processor of Venezuelan heavy crude, importing more than 4 lakh barrels per day at peak levels until sweeping US sanctions and rising compliance risk forcibly shut down purchases in 2020. Ms. Rodriguez took charge as Venezuela's acting president following the detention of the then President Nicolas Maduro by US forces in January. New Delhi started purchasing crude oil from Venezuela after the sanctions were lifted following Mr. Maduro's capture. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts on today's episode in the comment section. And if you found this video useful, don't forget to share it and save the About the Fold playlist so you never miss an update.